the slows, the retards, and in this case, members of the media, the WNBA media, looks like they're taking big fat L's today. Particularly one, Sheryl.
Clinging on Caitlin Clark's name like a life raft, Sheryl Swoopes is back at it. Swoop appeared at church wearing a Page BR shirt louder than a yelling baby after being kicked out of WNBA jobs. Quiet? Not even close. It isn't assistance. It's an inconsiderate billboard. Keep your seatbelts up because this shade game has just reached its lowest point. Subtlety is no longer an option when it comes to Sheryl Swoopes versus Caitlin Clark. Swoopes isn't joking around here. She is starting aggressive, passive-aggressive efforts. And the most recent stunt just serves to confirm it. Wearing a Paige Buer t-shirt while strolling through Gilbert Arenas' podcast. Very slick, indeed. It's not about Caitlin at all, is it? Please. Our birth was not yesterday.
Sheryl Swoopes just cannot. She can't stop. She can't not try to light a fire involving Caitlin Clark. She can't just be good. She made some comments, a month ago on video where she was clearly trying to kiss up to the Caitlin Clark situation. I think we're finding out why now because we found out yesterday it looks like she's been removed from a...
Swoopes is an expert in her field. It wasn't an homage to Paige to wear that shirt. The message on the billboard said, "Anyone but Caitlin." And in some ways, it's even more awful than if she had just admitted to having a problem. The unfortunate thing is that this behavior isn't particularly novel. Since day one, Swoopes has been subtly disparaging Clark. Sheryl wasn't applauding while Caitlin was setting records in college. She was nitpicking and keeping track of the minutes. If Swoopes had something to say about a shot, assist, or a record, it was marked with an asterisk. Mentoring is not what this is. It's the most petty form of gatekeeping. Furthermore, it isn't even intelligent gatekeeping. Because Caitlin's stock just rises whenever Swoopes does one of these maneuvers. With more supporters, more press, and more evidence that Clark has already won, Swoopes is frantically trying to maintain relevance. The thing is this. When Caitlin Clark gets on the court, she isn't seeking for approval. She isn't looking for traditional WNBA royalty to validate her legacy. She is simply setting fire to nets and amassing statistics that make everyone else appear to be running in slow time.
Clark again, this time by celebrating the arrival of Paige Bueckers. Now, I've got a theory. Oh, look at me. I'm not really racist because I'm wearing the white girl's shirt. You see that? The only problem with this is, and this has been the problem the whole time with the Paige-Caitlin comparison, Paige is an activist basketball player just like these old WNBA players that's been in the...
Swoopes doesn't think Caitlin's game is terrible. It's better, which is why she despises it. For a period, the figures are honest. During her debut season, Caitlin Clark broke records, established new franchise highs, and brought the WNBA into discussions it hasn't been a part of in decades. Venues that are completely booked, the best-rated games, and a lot of social media activity. Swoopes is out there acting like fashion police, as if no one is paying attention. The overt pandering is much more offensive. Swoopes doesn't even back Paige Bueckers like that on a typical day. Despite being a baller in her own right, Paige has been keeping to herself. She didn't request to become a pawn in Swoopes' trivial chess game. When you use someone else's success as a weapon because you can't tolerate theirs, you know it's desperate. And let's not even pretend it's about standards. Swoopes constantly complaining that Caitlin smashed records in more games, hence, she didn't deserve it. When Clark is out there lighting up scoreboards, it seems like nobody but resentful former players is looking at the fine print. Nobody cares how many games it took. That she did it matters to them. The narrative is over. A past legend like Swoopes ought to desire to inspire the future generation, carry on the tradition, and contribute to the expansion. But instead, she is out here defending the flame as if it were her only hope of survival. And that's the unfortunate reality. This has nothing to do with Caitlin. It concerns Swoopes' perception that she is unable to cope with the fact that the limelight she formerly had is now always shining someplace else. It's not only ugly, it's pitiful. It's becoming increasingly clear that Swoopes is losing every time she speaks about Caitlin Clark. Being the league spokesperson is not something Clark is requesting. She became the face of the fandom. She was the face of the game. She became the face due to the ratings. The market cannot be fought. Furthermore, you cannot ignore tiny fact. The desperation behind each passive-aggressive maneuver is nearly audible. The atmosphere is the same as when your resentful ex stalks your Instagram stories, except this time, everyone can see it and no one is believing that it's not a personal act. It's not subtle. It's loud and makes others wince when you do things like wear a Paige Boer shirt when you've never supported her before. It's the type of nasty female energy from high school that just serves to minimize your strength. Fans aren't dumb, either. The pattern is visible to them. They see that Swoopes never smokes for anybody else but always smokes for Caitlin. How every action involves making disparaging remarks without really expressing them aloud. How Caitlin's dominating headlines coincide with every support post like magic. It's exhausted. It's clear. It's depressing. Caitlin Clark, meantime, is occupied with doing what true greats do, which is to give it her all and let the game do the talking. She isn't out here pulling cheap publicity stunts. She isn't making passive-aggressive remarks. Because someone else is receiving more attention, she isn't acting out. The task is being done by her. Caitlin Clark has not been given any of the records she has destroyed thus far. She wasn't born with hype. She truly performed, therefore she deserved every bit of it. Through breaking assists records, putting the ball in the bucket from ridiculous distances, and leading her team into the playoffs when nobody thought they would even be important. That truly is awesome. Furthermore, it's the type of excellence that cannot be undone by scathing remarks. Swoopes would be welcome Clark with open arms if she truly cared about the WNBA's future. She would be discussing how thrilling it is to see budding talents. Instead of sniping from the sidelines, she would be mentoring, but she isn't. She is putting her resentment ahead of her legacy. And let's face it, she has the freedom to decide that. It is her L to hold if she wants to spend her days wearing t-shirts and silently criticizing Caitlin Clark as she continues to burn the league down. Because Clark is playing ball and Swoopes is playing dress up. And you know who the spectators came to see? The worst thing about this situation is that Sheryl Swoopes still finds this passive-aggressive bullshit to be clever. As if fans are unable to make the connections. News flash. You've already lost the debate if you need to do antics to attract attention. Furthermore, what exactly is the argument meant to be? That since Caitlin Clark isn't vocal enough in politics, she doesn't deserve the attention. Because the former WNBA guard doesn't want a superstar like her. That on the way in, she didn't kiss enough rings. Be honest. According to resentful former players, Caitlin Clark's main transgression is playing too well too quickly without first requesting permission. There is no subtlety to the envy. Every time Swoopes opens her mouth, it seeps out. Or, in this instance, each time she chooses a t-shirt to troll in after opening her closet. Caitlin Clark, meanwhile, continues to accumulate numbers as if it were her full-time job. 4 times Rookie of the Month, 3 times Eastern Conference Player of the Week. The WNBA All-Star starter who received the most votes from fans ever. Yeah, that too. Even LeBron would be taken aback by the speed at which she is breaking rookie records. It's not just the records either. It's the way she's bringing the WNBA back into the spotlight without resorting to heated views or political theatrics. She is using her unquestionable talent to accomplish things the old-fashioned way. That is something to be happy about. Anyone who genuinely cares about the WNBA's expansion should aspire to that. However, several of these former players are in complete panic mode rather than rejoicing. At the front of the queue, Swoopes is flying the bitter flag as if it were a prerequisite of his job. It's an odd flex. You would think that someone who has won 3 MVP awards would be a bit more secure, but that isn't the case. We are engaging in trivial mental games with a 22-year-old who only wishes to hoop. Additionally, don't misunderstand. Swoopes aren't the only thing at play here. At the moment, she is simply the loudest one. There is a whole sour little group of ex-players who are unable to accept that the game is changing, that new players will emerge, and that fans are more interested in fresh brilliance than in old feuds. The history of the WNBA was not ruined by Caitlin Clark. She's making it longer. She is increasing the number of spectators, seats, jerseys, and money. A league in dire need of a new spark is being revitalized by her. And how do individuals like Swoopes react? Nor appreciation, nor enthusiasm. Only unending small-minded animosity. It wears you out. Imagine having such an adverse reaction to someone else's success that, in an attempt to disparage the true star, you begin cosplaying admiration for a player you have hardly acknowledged before. That is heartbreaking, not just bitter. Worst of all, it undermines the very athletes that Swoopes purports to back. Paige Bucher is worthy of more than becoming a human billboard for someone else's personal vendetta. Paige is not Clark's opponent. She is her equal. She is an independent baller. It's also insulting to Paige to use her as a tool to make fun of Caitlin. Fans are aware of it as well. Now, fans are more intelligent. Receipts from social media don't vanish. Patterns are identified. Stories are